All right, so let's talk a little bit about Jira Service Management at a high level. What is it and who is it for? Well, it was originally created as a service management tool for IT departments, but over the years, it has evolved into a much more robust platform. Now it's not just for IT teams, it can really be for any service team. So your HR team, legal, marketing, really anybody who is providing a service or receiving requests from customers can benefit from using Jira Service Management. In addition to a service management tool, JSM is a support system with knowledge bases, a ticketing system. It can be your asset manager. It has a wide variety of powerful features found within the tool. JSM provides an intake channel and tracking for your service requests, which helps support and track your customer success. It keeps a record of those service requests, and it will keep your customers up to date on their requests. JSM can be connected to internal and external knowledge bases, and we're going to look at a little bit of that functionality here this morning. It helps you track and maintain your SLAs, which we're going to cover how to configure those here in just a little bit. And it provides a clean and highly customizable customer portal for your request to be submitted. This helps provide a centralized location for your customers to submit their service requests, as opposed to using a large or inconsistent list of communication methods such as email, Teams, Slack, phone calls, passing somebody in the hall at the office, etc. We're really trying to centralize all of that here in Jira Service Management. It provides a location for your customers to view the status of their service requests, as well as a communication channel between customers and the agents working on those requests. And it helps ensure that our customers are providing the necessary information with their requests, which we will learn how to set up here this morning. JSM can be used for both internal and external customers, and you can use automation for Jira to help automate some of those repetitive tasks for your agents, which will help save them time and increase their efficiency, ultimately leading to quicker resolutions to your customers' requests. Jira Service Management is built upon Jira software. So if you're already familiar with Jira software, you are going to notice many similarities between the two tools. But if you don't have experience with Jira software, that is okay, because JSM works as a standalone product as well. You don't need to have Jira software in order to use Jira Service Management. So today we're going to look at Jira Service Management through three different perspectives: our customers, our service team, or you might hear me refer to those as agents, and our administrators. These are the main perspectives that JSM users will be utilizing, and we're going to cover how the tool supports each of these types of users. Our customers are going to be those folks who use our help center to raise, track, and comment on their requests. They can share their requests through the help center, and they can view knowledge-based articles. Our service team is going to be viewing and managing requests. They can create and manage knowledge-based articles. They'll use queues, they'll view reports and SLA metrics, and manage customers. And then our service administrators will perform all of those agent tasks, and they will do all of the configuration. So configuring the portals, request types, queues, reports, SLAs, and the list goes on and on. So those are the three different perspectives we are going to be looking at this morning. JSM also has some advanced functionality as well. Some of these features include incident management, change management, and assets, like I mentioned earlier. We do have a 1-hour webinar that covers all of these topics, and that is actually happening this afternoon at 1:00 p.m. Central. And this is really going to build on the fundamentals webinar that we are currently a part of. And it takes an in-depth look at all of those advanced ITSM features of Jira Service Management. If you'd like to view a list of all of our upcoming events, including webinars and boot camps, you can scan this QR code here, and that will take you to the list of all of those events that we have coming up soon. All right, with all of that being said, let's dig into Jira Service Management. And if time allows, we do want to take some questions from everybody who's attending here today. So if you do have any questions, put those in the chat. And after my presentation here. If there is time before the top of the hour, we will address those questions as we can. All right. So like I said, we're going to cover this from 3 different perspectives, and we are going to start with our customers. So Jira Service Management has a variety of intake methods for our customers to submit requests or tickets, including via email, via chat, if you have it configured, via widgets that you can add to maybe an internal website or something like that. But today we're going to focus on the Help Center. And the Help Center, sometimes we refer to as the portal of portals. And this is where your customers can submit their requests, view the status of those requests, interact with agents, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is really the area of Jira Service Management in which our customers will spend their time. They don't have access to the back end. They only have access to the Help Center. So in the Help Center, there's a lot of customizable options. We don't have a lot configured here, but you can add your organization's logo or some kind of custom image to the header here. And you can change some other things as well. And there's a variety of ways for your customers to find the right form to submit their requests. So right away, we can see that there is the search bar right here. And this is going to help our users find both request forms and knowledge base articles that might help them with their problem or their request. So for instance, if I click in the search bar and I just type in VPN, we see a couple different things here. We see some self-help resources here. These are knowledge base articles to help guide customers to information that may help them solve their issues on their own, which is supporting ticket deflection and will hopefully result in less tickets submitted to our agents and enable our customers to solve their own problems. We can also see here request forms. So we see a couple different request forms related to VPN. I can actually click into one of these articles and we can view how this knowledge base article might appear to one of our customers. This is powered on the back end by Confluence, so there's a lot of formatting options and things you can do within your self-help articles. We can see this great image of this cat here. We can see a sort of an alert here highlighted in red. And then this has got all of the VPN troubleshooting steps in this article. So I can, as a customer, I can view this article, follow these steps, try and solve my own issue, and then I can actually vote on this article and say, did this article help? I can say, yes, it did, or no, it didn't. I can't solve my issue. And then if I still need to raise a request after viewing this article, I can actually just click need to raise a request, contact us, and it will take me to a portal group where I can find the appropriate form. I'm going to go back to the main page here of the Help Center. One thing I should call out as well is everything in the Help Center does have a unique URL. So your customers can actually bookmark maybe specific forms that they use on a regular basis, or you can send them direct links to knowledge base articles if you need to do something like that. So just something to note that everything in the Help Center will have a unique URL. Below the search bar, we see this topics section, and this is a collection of related elements that can be useful to your customers in a variety of ways. This can be configured to include request forms and knowledge base articles, or links to some other topic that are related in some way. So we can see here we've got this configured for this self-help section, and we've got some common forms and knowledge base articles to serve up right away on the main page of the Help Center. This section can actually be cross-project, unlike portal groups, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this topic section can pull things from across multiple projects, which on the back end of Jira Service Management. And like I mentioned, this is customizable here by this customize section. So if you are a Jira administrator, you can customize a variety of things here in the Help Center. So if I scroll down a little bit more, we see our featured portals. Each one of these portals is connected on the back end to a specific project in JSM. So we can see we've got IT Service Desk, HR Service Desk, Facilities Service Desk. If I click Show More Portals, we can see some more. We set up a portal here for an event that we hosted. So there are a variety of different portals here. And like I said, they are all connected to a specific project. You can think of the portals as subsections of the Help Center based on maybe a department, a specific function, etc. This is going to help keep your request types organized based on some kind of similar trait or function. You can have multiple request types within a portal group, and access is managed on the back end, and each portal can be restricted so that customers only see the portals that they should have access to. So if I'm not added as a customer to one of these specific projects, I will not see the portal group when I log into the Help Center. So let's look at how to use a form and submit a request. I'm going to click into the IT Service Desk portal group. And we can see several different subsections here. We've got computers, logins, applications, servers. These are all the different request types within these groups here. So under computers, for instance, we see request a new laptop, get IT help, etc. If I click into this portal group, now I can see the actual request types, and I just named off a few of those. If for some reason I need to navigate back to a different portal group, I can click this drop-down Contact Us About, and oh, maybe I actually need to be in logins and accounts. I would just click there and it would take me to that group. So I'm going to select the Request a New Laptop request type. And now we can see that there are forms for me to fill out here. We also see this breadcrumb trail at the top of the request type. So we started in the Help Center, we went to the IT Service Desk portal group, and now we are in the Request a New Laptop request type. Also, this is a drop down. So if I need to choose a different request type, maybe I actually need to request a new mobile device, for instance, I could click there and it would take me to the correct form for me to fill out. So the first field we see here that I can actually edit is raise this request on behalf of. Perhaps I need to submit this for somebody else in the organization. Maybe I need to submit this for Elizabeth, for instance. I could click on her name and this request would now be associated with her. But I'm just going to submit this on behalf of myself. Reason for requesting new laptop. This is a custom field we've set up with 3 different options. I'm going to select current equipment is damaged. Then we have any additional details. This is actually a paragraph style field. So there are several different text formatting options here. I could bold, I could add a link, I could add emojis, I can mention somebody in the organization, but for now, I'm just going to add some context here, and I'm going to say I dropped it and it broke. And then lastly, which model would you like? At face value, this looks to be a simple drop-down field, but this is actually linked to our assets database. And we're going to talk more about assets this afternoon, but we can see here that there's some icons and things to help me choose which laptop I would like to request. I'll just choose the first one. And once I've filled out this form, one thing to note is anything with this red asterisk is a required field, and that is configured on the request type or the form. And if I didn't have these fields populated, I could not submit this request. So now I will click send. And now my request is submitted. We can see a lot of different information here. We will talk about that in depth in just a second, but I do want to go back to the Help Center and very quickly just show an example of a more complicated request form. We are going to go to our HR portal and select Employee Onboarding. And what I'd like to show here is there's some contextual formatting you can do in forms. So right away, we can see that this is the layout is very different here. We've got columns, we've got a table. One other cool thing you can do is show fields based on contextual criteria. So for instance, if I click business cards needed, yes, now I'm prompted with all of these fields to provide this information on these business cards. And if I select no, we will not see that anymore. So you can do some conditional formatting on your request forms. Obviously, I don't need to fill out these fields if I don't need to request business cards in this situation. So, and this is using a what we like to refer to as a dynamic form. And we cover all the details about how to configure those and use contextual formatting in our Jira Service Management Bootcamp. So here in the top right corner, I can click requests and I can see all requests created by me, anything that I might need to approve for some reason, or all requests that I have access to see. I'm going to click created by me. And there are several columns here that display some quick information on the ticket. We can see the request type is request a new laptop. We can see the issue key that Jira generated for this request. We can see the summary, which is just new laptop request, the status that this ticket is in, what project is it in, who requested it, and when was it submitted. And you can add some more parameters here if you do need to see some additional information. If I click on the ticket, we'll go back to this view we saw earlier. And again, we're seeing that breadcrumb trail here at the top. In this details section, which is collapsible, we can see I raised this ticket today. We can see the reason for requesting the new laptop, which I selected my equipment is damaged. Here's that additional context I added. I dropped it and it broke, and which model I selected. In the activities section, this is where our customers can add comments to the agents, or agents can comment to them. So I could say, could you update me on this request? And we see all those formatting options here again as well. I'll click save, and now my comment is added to this ticket. Some other relevant information on the right-hand side here, we can see the status. Your customers can turn the notifications on or off for their submissions. So maybe I submitted a ticket for somebody else and I don't need to get updates on that. I could turn the notifications off. I can also cancel the request directly from this ticket. So maybe it turns out my laptop isn't damaged and I don't need a new one. I could just cancel this right away. Again, the request type is shown here. I could share this ticket with somebody. So maybe another person in my organization needs to know about this. I could select that person and then click add, and then the ticket would be shared with them and they would be added as a watcher. So they would get certain updates on this ticket. Lastly, we can see that this ticket needs an approval. We're going to talk about that in depth this afternoon as well, how that approval is being set. It's kind of a complicated integration between assets and automation for Jira, but on the back end, Vicky has been set as the approver for this ticket. So that's going to do it for our customer focused portion of this webinar. Now we're going to walk through this ticket from the agent's point of view. So since I have agent access to this project, I can just click right here. And this is going to take me to the back end of Jira. So if you've worked in Jira software, this is going to look somewhat familiar to you with some different UI and things like that. But I'll collapse this so we can get a better view here. So we can see here the issue key, and we can see the issue type here is a service request with approvals. And then the summary right here, new laptop requests. The form fields that I filled out, some of those are linked directly to Jira fields. So for instance, that any additional details field that I filled out is actually linked to the description field on the back end. So that's why this is populated right here. We can see that I raised this request via the portal. It's worth noting that agents can actually raise tickets from the back end, so they don't need to go to the portal. They can just click this blue create button, and then much like Jira software, you would just create your new issue from this window. And some of the other buttons we see here: create subtask, link issue, add form. These are some things agents can do. Create subtasks, pretty straightforward. We could link this to an existing issue if we need to for some reason. And then add form, and maybe we need some additional information from our customer. We could click add form and prompt them to provide that information to us. Over here, we have our status drop-down field. So we can click in here and I could move this along in its workflow. And I could actually view the workflow here as well. Again, if you're familiar with Jira software, you'll notice these statuses have these similar colors. So any of our to-do status category statuses are gray, in progress being blue, and then resolved or done being green. So here's just a quick look at the workflow for this issue type. And then in our actions dropdown, if we had configured any manually triggered automations, those would reside here. So we can see there are a couple of those here, and some handy links to create a new automation or manage our automations directly from that dropdown. So I mentioned this ticket needs an approval. We can see right here it is waiting for one approval. If I click on this, we can see Vicky Murphy needs to approve this, and she has not done so yet. But once she does, that decision would be made, and then this ticket would move along in its workflow based on her decision. Over here, we see our SLAs. We are going to talk about these a little bit more later this morning, but essentially an SLA is an agreement for our team saying how quickly are we going to do something on the ticket. So we can see there's two SLAs configured here, our time to first response and time to resolution. Essentially, we're saying we agree to respond to this customer within 4 hours of the ticket being submitted, and we are agreeing to resolve this ticket within 8 hours. So those are the two SLAs configured on this ticket, and we'll look at how to configure those here shortly. In our details section, we see a lot of information here as well. We see two related knowledge base articles, and I can expand this if I'd like to search for other articles. This ticket is currently unassigned. I could quickly click assign to me and assign it to myself if I need to. We can see the reporter, that's the person who submitted the ticket. So in which case, or in this case, that's me. We see the request type, organizations, request language, components, and then here we can see that Vicky is an approver on this ticket. Our more fields section contains some other fields. All of this is configured by your project administrator, and really none of these fields have to exist on your ticket if you don't want them to. They can be moved up to the details section if they're more important for some reason, or they can be housed down here in the more fields area. So we can see there's several of those down here for use on this ticket if we need them for some reason. The automation section is going to list any rules that have run on this ticket. We are not going to go into automation configuration in detail in this webinar, but we do cover that extensively in our Jira Bootcamp. And again, all of that information is available on our website. And then Tempo, this is just a time tracking app that we have installed in this demo instance. Going back to the middle section here, we see similar requests, and this section is going to provide a list of other issues that are similar to this issue in terms of the summary and or description field. So this can be useful for agents to review past tickets to provide insight on a potential solution to the current ticket that they're working on. This also helps highlight the frequency in which similar requests are being submitted in order to create a greater sense of urgency or show the need to look into a larger issue. And similar requests can be linked to the current ticket by using that linked issue icon up here at the top. Or if we click into similar requests, we can hover over any of these laptop requests and click this link issue button. and this ticket will now be linked to my ticket. And you can also provide some feedback to Atlassian here in terms of whether or not these results are relevant. So that can be a handy section for your agents in the similar requests area. Moving down, we're going to go to our activities section. This is similar to what is displayed in our customer view with a lot more options and a lot more detail. If we click on all, for instance, we can see a comprehensive look at everything that has happened since this ticket was created. So we can see I created the issue 11 minutes ago, an approver was added, automation updated this field affected equipment, which we are going to talk about in detail this afternoon. We can see that Vicky was added as the approver, and we can see the comment that I added earlier as well. If we click on comments, we have a couple different comment types. And it's important to use the right comment type when you're adding a comment as an agent. We see add internal note or reply to customer. And add an internal note is not visible to our customers out on the portal. So maybe I need to communicate directly with just an agent on this ticket. And so, for instance, I can click this, and again, we see all of those great formatting options. I can say I'm working on this and click save. And our internal notes are going to be highlighted in this kind of yellow or peach color to really call out for your agents. This is an internal note only. So if you're going to reply to this note, make sure that it is an internal note as well. If it's something your customers don't need visibility into. And if we do reply to customer, however, I can say, hi, Brad, I'm working on your request, and click save. This is not highlighted. And so that's just a visual differentiator or indicator of which type of comment you have added. Another cool thing you can do when you are replying to a customer is you can use what are called canned responses. And the idea here is to create canned responses for things that are either high frequency or maybe need to contain some specific language or maybe a specific link to something. You can use your canned responses to just populate that information and send it to your customers very quickly. And there are two types that you can create. If I click create new, I can make my canned response personal, which is only usable by me, or shared, which will be available to all agents in the service project. So something to use there for things that need to be commented on, again, a frequent basis or need specific language. And so we've only got one of these configured right now. I'll select this, I'll click insert response, and we can see now that is included right here in the comment field, and then I can comment on this ticket and send that to the customer. Our history section is going to display, again, a variety of information related to the ticket, a little bit less than the all section, but more of a truncated list of things that have happened on the ticket. We can click our work logs, and if anybody had been logging work via Tempo, in this case, those would be those work logs would be displayed here. Our time and status will display how long our ticket has been in a specific status. So in this case, this ticket has only been in one status, waiting for approval, which again, we can see over here. And it's been in that status for about 15 minutes now. So this can provide some useful information to your agents to view how long something's been in a specific status. Maybe there's a bottleneck or something like that. That information will be displayed here. And then lastly, our approvals section. This is going to display any information related to approvals on this ticket. So once somebody has, and in this case, it's Vicky who needs to approve this ticket. Once she has either approved or declined this ticket, that information would be displayed here in our approvals section. All right. So that covers the issue view for agents and how to work tickets at sort of a high level. We're going to switch our hats again, and we are going to talk about admins. And our admins are going to, again, be in charge of all of the configurations in our service management project. We are going to start with queues. And queues are how tickets are sorted and displayed for our agents in a service project. They're a great way for our agents to quickly see a list of all open requests that meet some specific criteria. JSM is rolling out a new feature, boards. So if you have worked in Jira software or maybe some other tool that uses Kanban boards to organize issues, that feature is being rolled out in Jira Service Management. And there is some advanced configurations you can do with those boards as well. They are rolling that feature out right now, however, so you might not see it in your instance, but they are coming. So back to queues. We can see here we've got several different queues configured in this project. The starred section here, this is an agent by agent basis. So if I want to star one of these queues, I can click the star and then it'll add it right here at the top to my starred section. All my tickets is also unique for every agent, and it's based on some JQL to pull tickets that are assigned to the current user. And so if I click into all open tickets, for instance, we are now in this queue. We can see there are 90 issues in this queue. I can search within this queue if I need to. And there are several columns here that are displaying information on these tickets. So we can see the key, we can see the summary, the reporter, the assignee status, when was it created, the time to resolution SLA can actually be added here as well, which is kind of handy. And if we click the three dots, we can edit this queue. We could clone it. We could delete it if we no longer need it. If I click this box and select every issue, or maybe I only want to select a few of them, we see some more bulk actions here, which this can be really handy to make some edits to several issues all at once. I could find similar requests for all of these issues. I could link them together. I could mass comment on all of these issues. I could assign all of these to a specific person, transition them in their workflow. I could bulk approve these, or I could bulk delete. So doing that through a queue can be really handy and save you a lot of time if you need to bulk update several issues all at once. Then as an admin, like I said, I can edit this queue. So I'll click edit queue and I could rename it. I can add this to our team priority section that we see here on the left-hand side. And I can actually edit the filter on this queue as well. So like many things in Jira, our filters and our JQL are powering these queues. So I could tweak this here to have some more specific criteria if I want to. And we know JQL is very powerful and used in a variety of different features within the Atlassian ecosystem. This one thing to note is making edits on your queues can be global, so this could affect everybody who has access to this project. It would change their view of this queue depending on what the queue is. And then I can also add more columns to this queue if I'd like to, or I could remove some of these if I don't need them anymore. These columns are just all based on Jira fields. So I can choose any of these fields and add them to our queue. And then I would click save, and that would update the queue view that way. I'm not going to save those changes though. And if I scroll to the bottom, I'm going to click Manage Queues. And admins can move queues around in the list. They can change the order of them. They can move them to different sections. So for instance, we see team priority here. So I could move any of these queues into the team priority section. Or I can create a new queue directly from here. And then this is much like that edit queue screen we saw here just a moment ago. And like I mentioned, any of these queues can be added to your starred section just by clicking the star on the queue itself. So let's actually create a new queue very quickly. And we'll need to give it a name. I'm going to call this all closed. And we need to give it some JQL here. We can switch to basic if we don't want to use JQL, but I'll say resolution is not, oh boy, just went away. That's interesting. Let's try that again. I'll discard those changes. And I could say resolution is not empty. And we can see the handy green check mark lets me know that my JQL is valid. And then we get a list of all of our closed tickets. So the resolution field has a value in it. So that's a way to create a new queue. Let's move on to SLAs. And like I mentioned, those are the level of service that the team has committed to providing to our customers, either internal or external. They can be thought of as goals that have a specific time frame in which they should be achieved. And you do need to be a project manager to create and manage your SLAs. So I'm going to go to Project Settings. And we'll scroll down to SLAs. And we can see there are several SLAs set up here with several goals within those SLAs. There is a limit of 90 goals that you can have in a specific project. We can see that we're using 6 of 90. Atlassian has made some updates recently to SLAs to help you avoid hitting this limit, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So let's go. We can see there's 4 different SLAs here: time to resolution, time to first response, time to close after resolution, time to review normal change. And all of these have specific parameters within them. So let's look at time to first response. And we can see this is how this SLA is configured. There's several different sections within here. We see first the goals section. And this helpful text: issues will be checked against this list top to bottom and assigned a time goal based on the first matching JQL statement. So we've got a couple different statements here. Ticket category equals incidents, ticket category equals service requests, and then all remaining issues. And there's specific criteria for those SLAs. So for any of our incidents, against a sample 9 to 5 calendar, we are going to say we want to respond to those within 2 hours. Our service requests, like we saw on the ticket I submitted, our time target is 4 hours. And then anything else, there's just no target configured here. And you can see you can have several goals within a specific SLA. One thing they've done here as well, like I mentioned, all matching priorities, you can actually break this out by the priority field. So I could have several different time targets that associate to a specific priority level. So let's say a P1 incident comes in and we need to respond to that in 10 minutes. but a P4 incident we need to respond to in, let's say, 2 hours. We can have those specific goals based on priority within the goals themselves, and they don't count as individual goals. So this goal would still only be one of our 90, even though it's broken out by priority. So I think that's really handy and will help you if you have a very robust service desk with many SLAs. It will help keep you under that threshold. So after we've set up our goals and our SLAs, we need to set up conditions. So we're going to say start counting time when the issue is created. We can add a condition to pause counting time on the SLA. And then we're going to finish counting on this SLA when a comment is made for customers, because this is time to first response. It's entered a status waiting for customer, or the resolution is set. Here's our SLA format display. We can have a couple different options here, really personal or team preference. We mentioned the calendars. So these SLAs are only going to count between the hours of 9 and 5. We can look at our calendars up here at the top by clicking the calendar icon. We've only got one calendar configured here for use, but you can make a 24/7 calendar, or you can actually import calendars from an ICS file. So if we were using a 24-hour-a-day calendar, maybe your service desk team works around the clock, your SLAs would count throughout all hours of the day, whereas these are configured to only count from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that is a little bit on SLAs. We're going to look now at request types. So I'll just click request types. And remember that the customer portal is composed of request types. Request types then create issues in our JSM project, and each request type creates a specific issue type in JSM. So we have a list of all of our different request types here, and we can see that each of them are associated to a specific issue type, and they are associated to a specific portal group. So for instance, request new laptop creates this issue type, and it is in the computers portal group. And note that an issue type can be associated with more than one request type, but each request type can only be associated with one issue type. The idea here is to create efficiencies on the back end if you have several request types that are using the same configurations, such as workflow, screens, field configurations, etc. So let's click into the request a new laptop request type and look at how these are configured. So we see the name of the request type here. Directly under that, we see request type description, and this is some helpful text for your customers to let them know what this request type should be used for. So we've added some helpful text here. Directly below this is where we are going to configure all of the fields that appear on the request form. Again, making sure that our customers are providing the right information so our agents can start working on their requests as quickly as possible. These can use Jira system fields or custom fields, and you can set some parameters on these as well. So we'll look at the description field, for instance, and expand that. And we can actually just change the display name of these for the request types out in the portal. So that's why we were seeing the field called any additional details, but then on the back end, that information that I entered was added to the description field. You can also make a field required by clicking this checkbox, and that adds that red asterisk that we saw out on the portal and makes that field required for this submission. And then we can add fields by either pulling from this suggested fields, or we can search all fields. So I'm going to search for approvers, and then I can drag and drop that, and I can change the order of it by just moving it around here. And I can add that here, and then I would click Save Changes to this request form. We can also configure the issue view from this section. So we can click Issue View. I'm going to discard my changes. And this is where we were talking about earlier about our context fields and our hidden when empty fields. Those have different names in the issue view, but we can actually move these around and reorder them much like we saw on the previous section here, and then we can actually just move these completely off of the issue view if we don't need them by dragging them over here on the right hand side and moving them that way. One other thing you can do with your request types that's really handy is you can change the name of your workflow statuses in terms of how they are displayed to your customers. So maybe the customer doesn't need to know that it's in all of these different statuses. Maybe they just need to know that it's in progress, for instance. So I could say, instead of showing waiting for support, I could change this to in progress, click save, and then when the ticket is in this workflow status, the customer would just see that it's in progress. So kind of help clear up some of the noise for your customers if they don't need to know every specific status that a ticket is in. We looked at the HR request type earlier, which was using a dynamic form. And dynamic forms are very dynamic and have a lot of customization and formatting options, and can help capture further information from our customers and then display that on the ticket. We don't have a ton of time to go into this right now, but I will just show this very briefly. So our forms, we would give this a name like form test, and again, tons of different formatting options here with lists, and we can do our info panels. So we can say, you know, alert or message. And Jira Service Management does come with some templates for these if you'd like to start there. Some of those can be really helpful. You know, you've got all different kinds of templates in here that you can add to your forms. And you can add form-only fields, excuse me. So you could add like a long text field, for instance, and you could say, what do you need help with? And this information would then be displayed on the ticket. The form itself would be copied to the ticket, but it wouldn't be associated with a necessarily with a linked Jira field unless I set that down here. So I could link this to, let's say, the description field, and then on the back end, this field would, any of the information I add here would be populated into the description field on the ticket. And then when I'm done with that, I would click Save Changes. I am not going to save this form right now. And then the final step of that would be to add the form to the specific request type. So if I want to find, again, our request a new laptop request type, we see this section forms. I would click Add Form, and then I can select from any of our forms and add that to the request type. And then that form would be displayed to the customer in addition to all of these fields that we have configured here as well. So you can really get very detailed on your request forms and capture a large amount of information from your customers. Again, making sure you're gathering the right information and making sure that your agents have everything they need in order to work the tickets and work the requests. So one other thing we'll cover very briefly is reports. And Jira Service Management does have some reporting functionality built in. We can see some default reports here and custom reports. So you can actually make your own reports here. We've made some of those here. SLA met versus breached being a powerful one, created versus resolved. We can look at our team's workload here. So this can help us determine if any of our agents are over allocated, and maybe help explain some of those breached SLAs that we might see in our SLA met versus breach report. We can see here that only a few of our team members have issues assigned to them, and a lot of our other team members have capacities. So maybe we want to look at this report when we are deciding who to assign new tickets to. This request deflected report can be handy as well. This can show you how many article views were happened out in the portal, and how many votes you received for did this article solve your issue. So like we saw out on the portal with the knowledge base articles, this can provide that information. And maybe you're seeing, hey, there's a lot of article views, but not a lot of requests deflected. Maybe we need to update our knowledge base articles a little bit. Maybe they need some more information to help really be useful. And then talked about the SLA met versus breached report. And this is a bad example because we are not meeting any of our SLAs in this demo site, but this can give you some insight on your SLAs. You can take a look, and if you're really out of sync here like this, maybe you need to revisit your SLAs a little bit. Maybe they're not realistic for some reason. So you might need to do some configuration changes there for your team on your SLAs. Or maybe you've got a workload issue like we saw in this workload report. So the reports can all be kind of used together to paint a picture of your service desk team and how they are performing. All right. I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there's any questions on anything else that we can cover here. Talked a little bit about access to your projects and how that's configured. So let's take a look at that real quick. So this will be your project administrator's responsibility. We'll click project settings and we'll go to people. And access to the project. So we've talked about 3 roles today. We've talked about our customers. We've talked about our service desk team or agents. We've talked about our administrators. Those are configured through what JSM refers to as roles. And if we click the roles drop down here, we see we actually have a custom role added to this project, developers. But I could click administrators here and I can see all of the admins in this project. The roles can be assigned to individuals, like we see myself here, or to groups. So we can see the group site-admins has been given the administrator role in this project. So you can configure your projects that way to where you're giving a role to a larger group of people via a group. And so if I'm in the project administrator and I want to add somebody to this project, I can click add people. And you can either type in somebody's name from your instance, like Brian, for example, or you could actually type in an email address here. So I could invite, let's say, if I could spell this. I can choose my email address, and then I would choose the role that I want to assign to this person that I am inviting to my instance. So it's important when you're doing this to make sure that you're choosing the appropriate role for the people you are adding to your project. Again, administrators having full configuration rights, and your customers are just your customers. And then, of course, your service desk team being your agents. So this ITSM webinar does build upon our JSM Fundamentals webinar, which I just hosted earlier this morning. And if you were able to join that, I hope you got some great fundamental knowledge of JSM. And if not, that webinar, along with this one, will be posted on our Valiantys in North America YouTube channel. So you can view these again at a later time. This webinar is going to be a bit more advanced than the fundamentals webinar, and we're going to focus on the ITSM feature set within Jira Service Management. These features, these webinars really do go hand in hand to paint a complete picture of the powerful features within JSM. It is helpful to have that basic understanding with JSM to get the most out of this advanced webinar, but it is by no means required and won't inhibit the learning process here this afternoon. And on this slide, some of those topics we covered this morning, and again, you'll be able to see those on YouTube. Project types, agents, customers, your customer portal, your queues, your SLAs, that connected knowledge base that we looked at, and of course, automation for repetitive tasks. But for now, let's go ahead and move into the topics for this webinar, which again is Jira Service Management for ITSM. We are going to talk through some of the applications that will be used in order to showcase the full range of ITSM capabilities in JSM, including Assets, which was formerly known as Insight. It's been rebranded to Assets. This is JSM's asset and configuration management tool. Assets is native to JSM, but it's only available in JSM Cloud Premium and JSM Data Center. We'll also talk about Opsgenie, which is Atlassian's alert and incident management system. It's native with JSM Premium, and for Data Center, it is a separate product. We're going to utilize automation for Jira. If you're already familiar with Jira in some capacity, you are no doubt familiar with using and maybe even configuring automation rules. This is completely out of the box, and the only difference between the tier levels of JSM is going to be in the number of allotted rule executions per month. There have been some recent changes in those limits, and you can find those on Atlassian's website for the different tier levels of JSM. And then lastly, Statuspage. This is a completely separate product, which is not included in any tier of JSM. It is an Atlassian product, but it's an add-on, and Statuspage serves as an internal and external communication solution, which we will talk about in detail towards the end of this webinar. And Atlassian actually uses it to communicate status updates on their products in their ecosystem as well. So you can find that out online to view how Atlassian uses it and maybe get a sense of how it could be used for your organization. So by utilizing all those different tools and features, we are going to do some demos this afternoon. We're going to start with service management. We covered service management in detail in the fundamentals webinar, but today we're going to talk about how to integrate that service management process with the assets feature of JSM to create an even bigger solution and utilizing more than one tool simultaneously. We'll move on to incident management. We're going to cover how JSM handles incident management, giving your service desk team the tools they need to respond to incidents in a timely and effective manner, as well as a bit of discussion on problem management. And then lastly, we will talk about change management or change enablement. We're going to discuss how JSM can help manage changes within your organization, giving insight into the effects and even possible risks of enacting changes, and providing the insight you need to make informed decisions related to those changes. We'll also touch on knowledge management and enterprise service management during that section. And then quickly, just another quick reminder that we do offer a 2-day Jira Service Management Bootcamp that does really a comprehensive deep dive into project administration for JSM, and you will learn how to set up a service desk and configure all kinds of parameters within your service desk. And there is an ITSM portion in the bootcamp as well. And a reminder, all of that information is available on our website if that's something you would be interested in attending. All right, so let's move into our first section, which is assets and service management. So who is this for? Well, it's really for our service teams and our IT teams. The challenge that we often see is a lot of service teams and IT teams face with how to easily track and manage their assets, as well as services and service requests relating to those assets. The solution is going to be assets within JSM, which is an easy to maintain assets database that seamlessly integrates with our ticketing system. And the tools we're going to be using for this demo are Jira Service Management, Assets, and Automation for Jira. Right. I'm going to go to Jira Service Management now and start this demo. And once again, here we are in the Help Center, and a reminder, this is our customer-facing section of Jira Service Management in which users can submit requests and tickets for a wide variety of needs. I'm not going to go into the Help Center in extensive detail here, but we did cover all of this in the fundamentals webinar, which again, you'll be able to view on YouTube if you'd like to review some of those fundamental topics. So we're going to scroll down to our portals and we're going to select our IT Service Desk portal. We'll select our computers portal group and I'm going to click on request a new laptop. And I'm going to go ahead and fill out this form very quickly. I am going to say that my current laptop is damaged. And again, I'm going to say I dropped it and the screen broke. And then this last field that I need to fill out on this request form, which model would you like? Again, it does appear to be a typical field, but it is actually an assets object field, which is a specific type of custom field within Jira Service Management. And it's integrated directly with our assets management system. You can see that the drop-down options appear a little bit differently than other Jira fields, including these handy thumbnail images of the specific laptops. And when I make a choice in this field, I'm actually selecting a specific object that is built out in our assets database. We're going to talk a little bit later about how these objects are created and configured on the back end, but each one of these is going to eventually represent a very specific laptop and not just a group of laptops. It will link directly to a specific object. So I'm going to choose MacBook Pro 13-inch. Make sure that I've filled out all the appropriate information on this ticket. And again, reminder, any of these red asterisks fields are required, and those are configured by your project administrator on your request types. And so everything looks good to me, and I'm going to submit this request. And we'll just do a brief reminder. Everything that I submitted is displayed here for me as a customer. I can see all of the answers to the questions and fields that I provided. I can add comments. I can get visibility into the status of this ticket, which is waiting for approval. I could cancel it if I need to. And I can see here, again, that one approval is needed. A reminder that the Help Center is the customer-facing side of JSM. And your customers don't actually need a paid license to be able to submit requests to via the portal, which is one of the great things about JSM is your customers do not need a paid license. So you can have as many customers as you want, all with free licenses, and they can submit requests as needed. The status here waiting for approval and the fact that the approval is needed is leveraging automation for Jira to automatically set an approver when this request was submitted and put it into this waiting for approval status. And let's look at who that approver is now as we head into the back end of Jira. By clicking the issue key here, since I am an agent, I can click into this and note that your customers would not have access to the back end like I do here. So anybody without a paid license would not be able to view the project itself or the back end of JSM like we are viewing right now. So let's take a look at this request that I just submitted and the things that are unique to this request because of that assets object field. So like I mentioned, when I chose the laptop model that I wanted to request on this request form, that was linked to an assets object field. And we can see that information is displayed right here under laptop models. And of course, all the other information that I entered. Now, as an agent on the back end in the asset object field, there is much more information that I'm able to see related to this object that is pulling from our assets database. So if I click show details on this object, for instance, we can see all of these other pieces of information, which are called attributes in the assets database. And we will look at how to configure these here in just a moment. We can see the object type is a MacBook Pro 13-inch. It's got the same information in the name. And we can see the vendor is Apple, the screen size, the CPU, RAM, etc. And we can actually see the status of this object as well. So this is something interesting that assets can do, is that they can be associated with a status, much like issues in Jira or Jira Service Management. So this has also been set automatically via an automation, and this is going to provide some visibility into the state of this specific laptop or object. This is also going to be reflected in the assets database itself, letting everybody know that this laptop has been offered to an employee and therefore should not be assigned or offered to somebody else. The asset itself is also going to display a direct link to this request ticket, which provides even greater visibility and connectivity between our assets database and the service requests themselves. And this means that we have one less MacBook Pro 13-inch in the in-stock status that we've configured because this one has now been offered to an employee. If we go over to the details section on this ticket, we can see there's another assets object field included on this ticket called affected equipment. And I can expand this again and read some more information on this. And what this is showing us is my current laptop that this ticket is related to. So if you remember, I said I dropped my laptop and the screen broke, and this ticket has automatically pulled that specific laptop into this ticket in the affected equipment field. So we can see it's a different model. Here's the name of that specific machine, the serial number, and we see the status is now damaged. So another automation there. So I submitted a ticket. It's related to this piece of equipment. Now it is put into the damage status. So that will be reflected in our assets database as well. And this is helping provide just some quick and easy access for the agent who's working this ticket to gather all the info they need on my now damaged laptop. And it also saves us time by automatically setting that status on that object via automation. We also talked about the approval needed on this ticket, and that was also set via automation. So we can see here that Vicky Murphy is set as the approver of this ticket. It's set also with automation, also leveraging assets. This might sound kind of strange, but our employees are all built out as objects in the assets section of Jira Service Management, and each employee is linked to a department object via what JSM refers to as references. And we'll talk about references a little bit more later, but I am part of a specific department in this instance, and Vicky is the department manager of that department. So via automation, she has been set as the approver for this ticket. And if we click waiting for approval, we can see we're waiting on Vicky's approval on this ticket. And also, I mentioned references. That's also how JSM added my old laptop directly to this ticket. Utilizing references in automation can result in powerful efficiency gains as tickets are created and worked in JSM. In sort of basic terms, a reference is just a connection between two objects in JSM assets. So now let's head over to the assets section of JSM, and we'll look at how some of our objects, attributes, and references are configured. So up in the top here, I will just click assets. And assets is a really scalable and robust tool. There are a variety of configuration options on your objects, on your schemas, etc. Here we see all of our object schemas, and those are just collections of objects, essentially. And each of them contain different types of objects. So we see CMDB, CRM, employees, like I mentioned, IT employee assets, etc. Let's click into IT employee assets. And on the left-hand side here, we can see all of the different object types and some different groupings that we've set up. So hardware and metadata, etc. If I choose the laptop section, I can actually scroll down and find that specific laptop that is currently assigned to me. And we can see here the status has been updated to damaged. We can see that linked issue I was talking about earlier. So this is the ticket I actually submitted on this laptop. We can see the status is waiting for approval. And there are some quick filtering options here if if your object is showing several linked issues, you can filter these by just clicking this filter option here. And then we see some different references here as well. We can see that I'm the owner. It's located in St. Louis, where our office is, and then the specific model type. So those are all references, again, just connections between two different objects. And here's all the different attributes that have been configured on this laptop, including the serial number, the cost, the purchase date, and the warranty expiration date. I'm going to go back to our schemas, and we're going to click Employees. And in here, we have a internal org chart built out. So let's take a quick look at how that is configured. So we can see we've got a couple different object types configured here: employee, department, and assignment group. On each employee, so for me, for example, we can see all of the different attributes associated with me. Again, I am an active employee. I'm associated with this Jira user, which this can be really powerful for automations and things of that sort. Apparently, I'm located in New York now, so that's great. I'm in the HR department. My manager is Wade, and I am in a specific assignment group. And the way you configure these attributes is by simply clicking Attributes. And here's how we could configure all of these attribute options. And we can see there's different types of attributes as well. So we have default, which are essentially just text fields or date and time, things like that. We do have this status attribute, and so you can configure what those statuses will be in a separate location. And then we see all these object type attributes, and those are where our references are being configured. So again, I'm referenced to another employee who is my manager. I am referenced to the HR department, and so on and so forth. If we go back to the object itself, now we see the inbound reference from my laptop. So the laptop references inbound to me, and I'm outbound to the laptop. And again, that's that object that was shown on the ticket in the affected equipment field on my request. If we click Object Graph, we can see all of the inbound and outbound references on my object for me. So again, I'm in the HR department. I'm in this group. I sit in New York. Wade is my manager, and this laptop has been issued to me. And you can actually double click any of these while you're viewing this to view information on that specific object as well. So if we click into HR, we can see that there's two employees, myself and Brian, and then Vicky is the manager of this department. And again, that's why she was set as the approver on my laptop request, because she is the manager of my department. So that's just a quick way, quick demo of utilizing assets within service management. There is a lot of scalability and a lot of expansion available here, and the sky is really the limit here. So you can get as granular and detailed with your objects and your object types and your attributes as needed for your specific needs. All right. So let's move on to incident management. And this is for our IT operations department. The challenge we see is, how do we respond quickly to get things back on track and ensure proper follow-up on incidents? Our solution is a centrally managed alerting system, tracking of deployments and service relationships, an incident command center, and integrated communications. And we are going to achieve those solutions through the tools of Jira Service Management, Opsgenie, Statuspage, and Confluence. So we are going to go back to our IT Service Desk project. And we're going to go back to the Help Center. And we are going to submit a different ticket type this time. We are going to report a system problem. And so I'm going to summarize the problem, and I'm going to say the website is down. And right away, we can see that Jira Service Management is populating some suggested articles here. These, again, are stored in our knowledge base, which is powered by Confluence. And the idea here is to promote ticket deflection. And these articles are linked to the request type and populating via keywords. The idea being to help our customers solve their own problems and provide more insight into what they're experiencing via these related articles. These are not going to help me with my problem that the website is down right now, but the idea here is sort of a self-help situation. So I'll continue filling this ticket out. So we talked about affected equipment earlier. Let's talk about affected services. This is another example of an assets object field, which is a little unique in that it does not require JSM Premium to be able to use this functionality. It is native functionality to JSM Standard as well. You are going to need to turn on the incident management feature in your project to use this, and we'll talk about how to do that here in just a little bit. This field is also unique in that it's a multi-select field, whereas in our previous demo, that laptop object field was single select, preventing me from requesting more than one laptop at a time. So I'm going to choose the website because that's what we're having trouble with. I could add some screenshots or something to this incident if that would be helpful for our agents. And then I have two more fields here. I could fill out the urgency and the impact. I'll just say this is critical and it's widespread because this is affecting the website. And another quick note up here, we do see a status update that the website is down from Statuspage, and we could click into this to view that Statuspage page if we need to. But for now, I am going to submit this ticket. And as the customer, I can monitor this here in the Help Center. So let's go to the back end. And we want to find out the cause of this outage as quickly and effectively as possible in order to resolve this incident in a timely manner. So we can see here that affected services field that I talked about where I selected the website. I can show some details here, and I can see there's 21 open incidents on this service. And as an agent, this is really helpful to help paint that bigger picture of all of the incidents on this affected service, promote communication across team members or possibly other teams, and ultimately help lead to a quicker resolution of the issue. And this can also provide some insight that maybe there's a much larger issue at hand here. If there's a large number of open incidents that are related to the same service, maybe we've got a bigger problem on our hands than just this specific ticket. Maybe something larger is going on that we do need to look into. We do see that this is a tier 1 service, and this is going to play a bigger part in our change management demo here in just a little bit. If I continue scrolling down, we can see the urgency and impact that I selected on the ticket. And we can also see this section, changes on affected services, which is a list of all of the change requests that have been submitted related to the same service, which in this case, again, is the website. This is powered by including the affected services asset object field on not just our incident requests, but our change requests. And this is also going to provide insight to our agents to any changes that are either in progress, happening currently, or have been deployed recently, which could maybe help explain the cause of our incident. And perhaps one of these changes resulted in the website going down, and that's why this incident has been submitted. Another thing we can do on our incidents is we can click this magnifying glass, which is the investigate button. And this is going to connect back to Bitbucket, which is that CI/CD pipeline in JSM. And this is going to show any recent code deployments that are related to this service as well. And these deployments may give us more insight into the incident requests that we just received and could be a possible cause for that incident. And we can click on this deployment itself and see some information in Bitbucket. And so we can see when it was deployed, and it was a change related to another ticket, etc. We can also hover over this, and we see this button, select as potential cause. So we can click this, and then we can say add potential causes if we think this deployment may be the cause of the incident, and it will then be logged on the ticket and just further checks and balances and digging into the cause of this incident of the website being down. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Bitbucket in our change management section here coming up. If we scroll to the bottom here where our comment section is, you may have noticed there's an extra button now that says inform stakeholders. And stakeholders is part of the advanced ITSM feature set in JSM and can include individuals who need to be aware of an incident but aren't necessarily going to be actively working on the ticket. Using this function, so informing stakeholders will send an email to both the incident responders of the affected service, again being the website, and anyone who has been added to the stakeholder list in this project. On our right-hand side, we've got our major incident toggle. Turning this on will add your incident to a queue called major incidents, giving some more urgency to that particular ticket. This queue might not already be set up in your project, but you can create it through the same process that we covered in the fundamentals webinar. Again, we'll post that on YouTube for those who weren't able to attend. That's really the extent of the out-of-the-box functionality of the major incident toggle, but there are opportunities to enhance this functionality by utilizing automation, perhaps to send notifications to an individual or a team anytime an incident is marked as major to raise that awareness and raise that priority level and get that major incident resolved much quicker. All right, so let's say we've worked our incident, we've solved it, and we're ready to close out the ticket. We can head to the top of the ticket and we can choose add PIR. And the PIR being a post-incident review, this is going to pull up a new screen for the post-incident review issue type, which is a separate issue type we can see right here. And this would be creating it in the ITSD project. And we can fill this PIR create screen out and create that new PIR ticket. I'm going to actually grab an example of an existing PIR to show some of that functionality. So one moment, please, while I pull that up. So we can see this is a unique issue. It's not a continuation of our incident. It is its own unique issue. It's got its own workflow, statuses, etc. In the primary incident section, we can link to an incident. So if we were creating this from an incident, it would be linked here. Let's just link any incident. I'll just grab this one and link it. And now we can see that that ticket is linked to this PIR ticket. We can click the timeline, and this is going to show us the timeline of that incident. So we can see not a whole lot happened on this ticket, but all of that information will be stored here, and then we can click Open Incident to go directly to that incident. And on the right-hand side, we see our incident summary section that provides, again, a number of fields with relevant information on that incident. So when was it created? Is it ongoing or has it ended? The time to resolution SLA is displayed here. Who was assigned to it, the priority, who were the responders, and which of those affected services. So we can see again that asset, the website, being displayed here. So let's go back to our incident ticket and we'll review just a couple more of the advanced features related to incident management. We see on the right-hand side, conference call. This is going to create a conference call that is joinable throughout the lifespan of the ticket. That's powered through Opsgenie, which again is included in JSM Premium. And any agent will be able to join this conference call directly from the ticket and utilize video conferencing, chat, notes, add additional responders, etc., directly from that call. So that is available with JSM Premium. Chat channel, you can connect this to Slack or Microsoft Teams to create a dedicated channel associated with this incident. So perhaps if your team is utilizing one of those tools, this could be of value to you. And then we see responders here. These are built out in Opsgenie, and we are going to transition over to Opsgenie now. So we'll go to the alert section of this project. And again, Opsgenie is Atlassian's incident alerting and response tool that connects JSM with monitoring tools. Alerts created within Opsgenie can become issues in JSM and vice versa. Issues in JSM can trigger alerts to be created in Opsgenie. We go to our Teams section. This is where you can build out your routing rules, your escalation policies, your on-call schedules, etc. So for example, if I click on the IT Ops team, we can see there's a routing rule set up here that if the priority on ticket is greater than P3, we're going to route that to the IT Ops escalation team. We see our escalation policy here, which is time-based. And then we see our on-call schedule here, and we can view this by the day, by the week, bi-weekly, by the month, etc. And we can create several different schedules and overrides, rotations, all of that stuff directly from Opsgenie here. If we go to integrations, this is where you're going to build integrations between Opsgenie and other tools. And Opsgenie is really only as powerful as the integrations that you have configured. So all of the major services are available here to create integrations. You can see we've got a couple of those set up here, including JSM. If I click Add Integration, we can search in the search bar. We see all the Atlassian products we can link with or integrate with, I should say, Jira Software, Jira Service Management, etc. We can see some featured integrations, Slack, Zoom, and then all sorts of different things you can integrate with here in Opsgenie. And if there's something you don't see, there may be an opportunity to create that integration or that connection via API here. So you can set these up here and connect JSM to other tools or vice versa through Opsgenie. So that can be really powerful as well. And then lastly, heartbeats. This is a way via Opsgenie to ping a service at a specific interval and create alerts based on if a ping is not received back in a certain amount of time. So maybe you want to ping a server or your website, something like that. You can set these up, and it's sort of a automatic monitoring tool that will alert your team when the service that they support has not pinged back via the heartbeats. So another great feature of Opsgenie there, help monitor those critical services that your team supports. All right. That is going to cover incident management. We are going to move on to change management or change enablement. So who is this for? This is for our change managers and our developers. The challenge we see is how to manage risk, coordinate changes, and ease bureaucratic effort within your change management process. The solution is going to be automated risk assessment, ticket creation, and resolution. And our tools here will be JSM, Bitbucket again, and of course, automation. So I'm going to go actually to a different project this time. I'm going to go to this sample Scrum project. And I'm going to create a new ticket in this project. And I'm going to say, add Euro to the payroll system. And I don't believe I have any other required fields. So I'm going to create this ticket and add it to our sprint so we can see it on our board. And we see the new ticket right here. And because this is a Jira software ticket, we're not able to leverage the use of forms, form fields, or the portal, but we will see how this ticket will relate back to JSM later in this demo. So now I'm going to jump over to Bitbucket. And so let's say this ticket has been assigned to me and I need to make this change to our payroll system. I'm going to go to Bitbucket and I'm going to click repositories, and we can see we've got 3 different code repositories set up here. I am going to go into the payroll repository. And for the sake of the demo, I'm just going to edit this README document here. So I'm going to choose this and click edit. And I'm going to make a change on line 25 here. We're going to say we need to talk to Wade instead of me for this change. And I will click commit. And I'm prompted to add a commit message here. And it is best practice to add a commit message here. I'm actually going to include the issue key from this software ticket. So SSP-100, updating per request on SSP-100. And let me just verify that that's correct. It is, and I will click commit. So we can see that that change is reflected right here. And if I go to pipelines, we can see that change is in progress right now. And this might take a minute or two, but we're going to wait for this, this change to be successful, and then we will continue on with this demo. And of course, we can see a list of all of our other changes that have been committed here in Bitbucket in this particular repository. And we can see the status of all of those, how long they took to commit, etc. So there's a lot of information here as well. We can see who made the update here and all kinds of information. So we'll give this just a moment or two while it deploys this change. And this does sometimes take a minute or two to deploy via Bitbucket. All right, so we finally see that this is successful. So now we are going to go back to our software ticket. I'm going to refresh this very quickly. I'm going to click into this ticket. And we can see that there has been one commit in the development field. And if we hover over this, we can get that commit number. when was it updated, which repository was it committed in, and we could get some more information here by clicking this link. We can also see in the linked issues section that a change request was created in JSM, and we can also see that it's in completed status. So this was automatically created when the code was deployed as a change request ticket. And again, we can see it's been completed because that commit was successful. It may seem a bit odd that a change request was created and completed without going through any kind of approval. But in this case, if we open this ticket, we can see why no approval was required here. And that is because, if I can find my field that I'm looking for, there it is. The payroll system is a tier 3 service. And we have tier 3 services configured to not require the CAB's approval or anybody's approval. And by doing this, you can, again, help create some efficiencies by automating several processes and steps to deploy this particular change and skipping that approval process for your lower tier services. And again, once this change was deployed in Bitbucket, the JSM change request ticket was automatically created, transitioned to the completed status, and linked back to that software ticket. And all the relevant information on this change is included in the change request as well. So we can see that in the description set field and some other information saved on this as well. And of course, that linked issue back to that software ticket. So that is one type of change that you can manage in JSM with all of these tools. Let's look at how we might do this with a tier 2 or a tier 1 service. So I'm going to go create another ticket in that same project. I'm going to call it mobile app update. And we will create this. And we'll add it to our sprint again. And now we can see our ticket. So let's go back to Bitbucket and let me grab that link again very quickly. And again, we'll go to repositories. And this is our mobile app in this scenario. So we're going to click the mobile app repository. And we'll do kind of the same thing here. So we're going to edit this README file. I'll make that same change down here. We'll just put Wade in again. I'll click commit. And then updating per request SSP-101, I believe. SSP-101. Okay. We'll commit our change. We'll go to our pipeline. And we're going to give this just a moment. One thing I should mention is you can actually click into this commit as well to see some other information of some more detailed information of what's going on during this process. Okay, so we can see that this this deployment has been paused, and we can see that out here as well. And we can also see that a change request was created and is pending. You can see that right here. So let's take a look at what's going on. We're going to open our software ticket. And we can see that there's a linked issue change ticket, but this time it's not completed. It's in the authorized status. So let's click into that and figure out why that is the case. So here we can see that same deployment information. We see that now this status is actually requiring an approval. And the reason it is requiring an approval is because this service that this change is going to be affecting is a tier 1 service. So via automation, we're saying if a change request comes through and the affected service is a tier 1 service, then it is going to require approval. So, and all of our approvers, I should say, were automatically added here. And we've got this configured to only require one of these approvers to approve this ticket. So if I scroll back up to the top, I'm going to click approve. And we can see now that this is in awaiting implementation status. And let's say I'm the developer here, so I'm going to say we're going to implement this change. It's now in implementing status. And if I go back to Bitbucket, now we can see our commit is in progress. And that's also via automation. So once this change request that required approval is approved, it's triggering Bitbucket to proceed with the code deployment. And we can see now it's successful. And if we go back to our software ticket, we should see everything update here as well. So we'll go to mobile app update. It'll load and we can see that our change is now completed. Again, leveraging automation between all these different tools. So a couple different ways to manage your change management here through automation, through Bitbucket, through JSM. You can have the different functionality based on those different tiers. And we can really see how all of these tools are communicating back and forth together, including Jira software in this instance. So we put in a ticket through Jira software. It's communicating to Bitbucket, to JSM. Everything's linking together. Automation is making it all happen, and you can really get a nice, robust, and scalable process out of linking all these tools together. All right, I'm going to check the chat really quick and see if there are any questions or anything we can address here. Just one moment. Let's see. Is it possible to use this as a workflow for patch management, automating, say, Windows patch notifications or NIST alerts, for example, filtering to create tickets only if we have affected assets in our assets database? Definitely. You can definitely leverage assets within your automations. They are a little bit different than leveraging just regular Jira fields in your automation. So assets are going to use what they call AQL, or assets query language, which the language itself is a little bit different than JQL, but in sort of a holistic approach, it works very similarly. So you can create automations to say only create a ticket if there is an asset that is in a certain status, or it's affected in some way or has some criteria on it. So you can definitely use assets and your objects in your automations. And yeah, the question here, is there a tool to track physical inventory, for instance, from vendor to receiving, then out to internal customer location? And absolutely, you can definitely use the assets database to do that, using references, using locations, using maybe a user attribute, an owner, something like that, to indicate the state that your asset itself is in. Can third-party stakeholders have access to tickets and comment without a JSM license? Yes, absolutely. You can add external users to your customers' database, and again, they will not need a license. So people from your vendors, or maybe another organization that you work with that needs visibility into some tickets for some reason, you can most certainly add them to your JSM instance. They don't necessarily have to be a part of your organization or have, in our example, a Valiantys.com email address. We could add anybody with an email address to our customers' database. All right, and quickly, I want to go over some AI capabilities that Atlassian has been rolling out relatively recently. So we're going to go to a different software project. And we are going to go to issues. I was talking about JQL a little bit, and JQL is really the backbone of Jira in terms of automations and filters and dashboards and things like that. But JQL can be kind of complex and get kind of tricky, especially when you're looking for something that meets a large set of criteria and your query might be really, really complicated. So in the past, you had two different ways to create your JQL queries. You could actually write the JQL yourself, or you could use this basic button and then just choose your criteria from some drop downs. But Atlassian has added some AI functionality to this. So if I choose, or if I click this button, AI, I can say everything assigned to Vicky and hit enter. And it'll give me the list of every issue in our instance that is assigned to Vicky. Likewise, it will display the JQL for you here. So you could actually grab this and you could copy it into, say, your automation rule that you're building, something like that. We could write everything that is not assigned. And again, this is really helpful when you're building those automation rules or a filter, a dashboard, something like that, and you need a complex JQL query relatively quickly, or maybe you just don't know how to write it. We all have experienced that in the Atlassian world, where we're not sure how to write the JQL query that we truly need. And so this AI assistant can be a great help for that. And is being rolled out in cloud instances. So you might not see it in your instance yet, but it is coming relatively soon if you're not seeing it right now. I'm going to show another AI feature here quickly. Let's find just any ticket. And let's say I'm an agent and I've received this ticket and I want to reply to the customer and I don't understand what they're asking for. Let's see who, let's just pretend we don't know who this customer is. I don't understand what you're asking for. So maybe I don't like the way I've written this. Maybe the tone isn't right. Maybe I'm not expressing myself in a professional manner or something like that. I can highlight this text and again, click the AI button. And I can see a lot of different options here as well. So the first thing, you can just type into this field and tell AI to write anything that you need, or you can choose from many, many options here as well. So summarize this, improve my writing, fix spelling and grammar, make shorter. These are really kind of neat, these change tone options. So if I say change tone to professional, I can see here's the AI's recommended update. So I can either insert this, I could copy it, or I can just simply replace that. And now that's in my comment and sounds a lot more professional. So that's a really cool way to utilize AI when you are communicating with your customers. type out what you are trying to say, and then have it make some recommendations on how you could improve what you are writing. And then lastly, I could just hit save, and that will save my comment. So those are just a couple of the AI features that Atlassian has been rolling out, and more to come later on those. So that's going to do it for our ITSM webinar today. Really happy everybody was able to join. If you do want to contact me with any other questions, Atlassian related or JSM related, anything in the ecosystem, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email, and you can scan this QR code to get all the information on our upcoming webinars and classes. We've got our entire events calendar on there, and includes, of course, all of our different boot camps, our webinars, and then a link to our YouTube channel.